Hey everyone, it's Erin Gabriella. I hope you're doing amazing. In order to celebrate the fact that I am now offering Akashic record readings on my website, eringabriella.com, I decided that I would do a Akashic record reading for famous celebrities, dead or alive, just to kind of give you guys a sense of what you would get if you were to book a session with me. Obviously, I'm outside. I'm currently in Johannesburg. It's really challenging finding a place to film here. I'm just doing like a walking kind of translate. It's kind of the best I can do right now. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like my content. So the first person that I want to profile and that I'm really excited about is Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali, as many of you may or may not know, was a famous fighter. He was also a famous civil rights activist, very famously protesting the Vietnam War, which so many others did. Taking a look at his past lives, there's several that are coming forward. For him, fighting and war and conflict is his comfort zone. He's had many different lifetimes in which he was either professional fighter in a war or being forced to fight for some reason or another in order to survive. The most pressing one that came forward immediately when I was taking a look at his Akashic records was he had a past life in Haiti, and I'm actually familiar with his energy from that particular lifetime because I also had a past life in Haiti. We were both alive during the war for independence. We both fought in that war. He was a very ferocious fighter, as obviously was I. I do remember that we were loosely generally acquainted, especially as the war dragged on. He was very prominent in the Haitian army that was formed during that time, ultimately becoming a general and becoming like very well respected leader amongst the army itself and among its people for a short time as well. I'm also sensing that he has a deep connection to one of the founding fathers, even though there are women there that were written out of the history, but the founding fathers, was it Dessalines? Is that how you pronounce it? He was very prominent like in that army. I see him being associated with Dessalines castle, and I remember a flash of like a vision of me also there at the castle with him. For guys of you who know Haiti or know kind of the Cap-Haïtien area or the famous landmarks around Haiti, I was able to visit those when I went on a trip in 2017. So I was able to see the citadel and the castle and to had all these flashbacks, and looking back, he absolutely was there. So that was a prominent time for him when he was a formerly enslaved person who, with the help of so many other fierce Haitian fighters, earned their freedom from the French and had the first and I think potentially the only successful slave revolt in history, ushering in a wave of repeals and freedoms for so many enslaved persons. So the second major lifetime was coming through. The closest visual that I can give you is like a gladiator-esque type situation where he was fighting in an arena with a sword and the whole nine. He was kind of forced into it. So there wasn't necessarily like I'm going to be a fighter now. It was just he was kind of pushed into the situation as a professional fighter, very similar to a lifetime that I've had. I've had past lives as a gladiator as well. And it seems that he's had a very similar one. And that was a primary one where he learned to use fighting to manage his emotions and to express himself, because he didn't really have back in the day that ferocious and very strong intellect that he had in his most recent lifetime as Muhammad Ali. So he used fighting as a way to express. So that was another major one. He's also had multiple lifetimes, as you can probably guess, in Africa as a young man and even a woman. He was a trained fighter for the village, and that's where he got a sense of fighting as a form of protecting what's valuable, protecting community, protecting women and children, protecting and preserving way of life. So it just kind of came over these different lifetimes that fighting became just the way to maintain peace almost. It sounds like an oxymoron, but given like the things that he experienced in his life, it would make sense that there would be that tendency, especially if you take into the account the lifetimes where he was enslaved or the lifetimes where he was being forced to fight in order to survive or to protect from invaders. It makes it you can kind of see how over lifetime, you could develop a sense that if I want to protect what's beautiful and good, I have to fight for it. If I want to preserve my peace or the peace of the people I care about, I'm going to have to fight for it. Oh, and there's one more lifetime that I'm being encouraged to bring forward. I'm getting the image of almost like a Fight Club style lifetime where he just chose to do it. That's how he wanted to express, and he would just kind of go in his free time and fight in his free time, and then it became something that he earned money off of as a result of the fact that he was so good at it. So that was another lifetime as well. And I'm getting a different visual, like he wasn't in a brown or black body in this particular lifetime. So maybe that's why I'm being guided to bring it forward, just to give a little bit more diversity of experience and to help understand that this is something that's been forming across places, spaces, races. It's just like a common theme for him and his incarnations that he has been living, just in that pattern very much present. So all of that said, how does that pertain to his lifetime as Muhammad Ali? Well, essentially what's going on is that Muhammad Ali, his ultimate lesson is actually to learn peace. Peace outside of himself, peace within himself, which is kind of the biggest one. And as a result of that, learn how to live peacefully, to communicate peacefully, and to have a peaceful experience within himself, and to engage peacefully with others as a way of resolving issues and conflict. And for that reason, he was dropped into a bunch of lifetimes where that was made unbelievably difficult or almost impossible for him to do, because if he was peaceful, he would like die or be murdered. So it kind of created this very strong counter energy that he would have to overcome, of this war mentality, if he wanted to reach the higher states of his ascension, which was a peaceful Zen type state. And what's so significant about the lifetime that he had as Muhammad Ali is that ushered forth a pivotal turning point. And you could kind of see, taking a look at his past lives, the fact that as he was Muhammad Ali, started as a professional fighter, and then when he spoke up against the Vietnam War, like that was a pivotal moment where he started to turn away from the concept of fighting in order to protect and to save, and more towards peace as something that needed to be preserved. It was during his time very radical for a professional fighter to come out and say, hey, I'm not going to give my time and my energy to this particular type of war because I don't really agree with what it stands for, and was very, very outspoken in that way. So that was really something that was very important. Muhammad Ali eventually retired and then became an ambassador for peace, brokering diplomacy. I know, like I was reading, I think it was Wikipedia, not the best source, but that at some point much later in his life, he brokered a deal to help release prisoners of war from Russia. So he became a peace ambassador. And you can kind of see over the course of his life, as he becomes like a fighter and starts to be super interested in fighting in order to stay alive, fighting for a career, fighting to maintain money, success, to later on in his life being more about his voice, his intellect. You can kind of see that transition and that overlap happening in that lifetime specifically. So that's why it was such a beautiful lifetime, this particular lifetime that he's living now, to profile, because you can kind of see the trajectory from war to peace within that one lifetime itself. So whenever he decides to incarnate again, if he ever does on this earth or anywhere else, he'll be able to kind of continue more in that vein of peace. He may not even do fighting. That may have been the last time he chose to like fight seriously or professionally, and just kind of go more into the peaceful warrior, the kind of more Gandhi-esque. I think it'll take him a long time to become like a Gandhi-esque figure, or like a Martin Luther King type figure, because that's another extreme where it's like so much peace that maybe a little bit of pushback might have been needed depending on your style. But I think that the fact that he was born and alive and around while those figures were on earth, like they were a huge inspiration to him, that there is another way to live. You don't have to fight all the time. And I think that's what encouraged him to use his voice and his platform in a way that began to encourage peace. So he became known as something more than just a fighter who like beats people up. He became known for his intellect and his wit and his negotiation abilities, and he started to use his voice as his instruments instead of his fists. And I just think that like, that particular lifetime that he was living was a beautiful transition. Also, his battle with Parkinson's is reflective to a certain extent of the war that he was waging within himself and has been waging within himself for many years now. I don't want to get too much into the specifics of that. I'll just simply say that the Parkinson's is an ongoing metaphor for his internal battle and the war within himself that he has been waging for quite some time. So instead of it becoming reflected outward, it's more reflected inward, and that's why it manifests a little bit later in life, even though that generally speaking usually does manifest later in life, but that's an aspect of it as well. So it's just a continuation of this kind of spiritual trend that he's going to, and he'll have to reconcile that peace within himself in his next lifetimes. So that was just a general reading. I mean, if he were in a session with me, I would start from there now that we know about his past lives as a fighter. If he was still alive, to kind of take a look at the different ways that he was still fighting in his current life. Maybe if it's with his wife or his kids, or the fight within itself. You can have internal battles as well, and look about how we can work to bring peace into those different areas to kind of help further along his soul mission, which is ultimately to be peaceful and to operate exclusively from peace. You can take Muhammad Ali's story as an opportunity to reflect on like, where are the places where I feel the need to kind of fight in my life, even if I feel like the fight is valiant. Can I say, you know what, maybe I don't need to fight, maybe I just need to be at peace, and maybe that's what will be enough to kind of bring the walls down. So that's basically it. If you want to see another celebrity, you can comment their name and I'll see about doing that. I'm thinking of doing Kim Kardashian. I don't know. But we'll see. So yeah, let me know if you like this, and hopefully it gave you some kind of an idea of what a session with me would be like and how it can benefit you as well. Again, you can find Akashic record readings on my website for bookings, eringabriella.com. And again, like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much.